Okay, whatever. All right, we're live.
Hey.
Yeah.
Good day.
Going to have a good time. Hey, hey,
Put this
hey.
over here first.
So, when you
Oh,
do the
shit.
like able to stream like this on the YouTube, I see you be watching like shit on there. You're able to do that?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't have like
Cursing.
yeah, like if it has music, certain music you can't put on.
Oh, shit.
But also there YouTube has an option where like it'll we might as well share this on like everywhere.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Type shit.
Hold
Send
on.
me
I'm
the link.
gonna send the link. I'm gonna send the link in the group chat. But yeah, like YouTube has an option where it can just edit out the stuff that's copyright, so that
really?
so that you don't like
Oh, that's fire.
yeah.
Oh, that's so perfect. Actually.
Yeah.
So, what kind of music will we be playing?
I mean, I was thinking we watch something like to
can
react
play my
to.
music.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with what I love. I was gonna comment on that. I love Explore.
We'll
with
play
this
my
stuff.
music in the background.
Which one?
I love Explore with this. That
You
kind
trying to watch some
of-
crime?
I love some
True crime shit.
This one's 34. Let's find a shorter one.
I love the crime shit.
Let's find a shorter one.
Yeah.
That one's an hour and 30 minutes. Let's see. I'm gonna put it on 2x speed too.
I think they only have the longer ones for like viewer.
Let me see. You could probably order it by No, you can't. Yeah, they got long videos here.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
They got other.
I mean, if you're gonna do it on times two, I mean, shit, that's gonna be an 18-minute video.
Or 1.5, so we can still understand what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, I literally, I don't know why that's so like cool, because I only just this week started putting videos on 2.2.
Yeah, just to,
like,
you don't need all the extra, like, you know what I mean? Like,
bro, I'm like blitzing shit.
this one says the mass killer who murdered over My Little Pony.
I can watch
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
I did hear this guy too before.
Really?
Mass
Yeah.
murder.
No, it seems. Like
This is gonna be fucked up. You wanna watch
All
it?
this shit's crazy, bro.
All right, fuck it.
Fuck it.
There's DIY. And there's
You wanted to talk about something?
yourself.
What?
You say you had a topic.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask him.
What?
The,
You wanna wait?
Between a homemade recipe
we don't have to wait.
and a house
It's up to you. Just with the editing shit.
Yeah.
Like what type of shit? I mean, I have like different clips and shit like that.
I can like format them for like shorts
yourself.
and do all that stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, this is the mass killer who murdered over My Little Pony.
That's a black girl? She sound black.
Which one? The one calling?
Yeah.
When a
Oh,
young boy's
damn.
mother notices his odd behaviors, intensifying year by year, she begins to worry about him.
He got ugly
It
and
began as a
ugly.
child when young Brandon Hole insisted on wearing 3 pairs of shorts at a time.
Year by year.
12 years later, he
Ugly
developed
year
an
by
unusual
year.
obsession that soon went off the rails. This was the bedroom of that same boy.
Oh,
By now,
shit.
He was well into his teenage years, and his true love is depicted on the colorful posters hanging on these walls. The cartoon ponies you see are the central characters on a children's animated television series, My Little Pony.
My little My Little Pony.
Brandon was willing to go for his.
Bro.
He was ramming that joint from the back.
Everything.
Oh my god.
That's some terrifying shit, but I honestly don't. Yeah, this is in Indianapolis, dude. It's so scary.
I got you with Brandon, please.
Oh yeah, this is Brandon.
Brandon Hole was no stranger to tragedy. In this phone call with police, you'll quickly learn how his demons began to develop at such an early age. His mother Sheila estimates he was only 4 years old.
So they casually just called him.
Right, like, yo.
What the fuck?
He
Like,
like would be real depressed one day and be like, how did you think my dad did?
How did his dad himself?
Oh my gosh.
Did he find him or did he see that?
No, he was there when we got into a real bad argument, and Dad said that, hey, whatever, if you leave with kids, I'm gonna myself, and I said, go ahead. He was, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's
It
fucked
seemed
up.
this haunting memory would follow Brandon everywhere he went
Hey,
for the
yo.
rest of his life.
That nigga just-
Before long, Sheila would see his struggles start to manifest in unusual behaviors, including his insistence on wearing 3 pairs of shorts at a time. The way
What?
he brought back and forth as he watched television. And how his routine
Why is he? So how does that manifest in him wearing 3 shorts at the same time?
Wore 3 shorts at the same
Shorts
time.
is freeze.
He's trying to see how-
I don't like that.
He's trying to see how big of a gat he can swing to school.
Obsessive-compulsive disorder.
How are you even comfortable with
How the
that?
fuck do you get 3 pants on at the same
That's what
time?
I'm saying, bro. Thick ass bullshit.
I've seen like those t-shirt joints.
Bro got a diaper on at that point.
To be his first of many. But with every visit, the outcomes grew worse and worse. And ultimately, it all culminated in some of the most terrorizing moments ever caught on camera. Less than a year after being diagnosed with a bevy of disorders, including disruptive behavior disorder, anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and depression, Brandon's behaviors would soon become much more aggressive.
This nigga got everything.
Thanks to his
Right.
increasing temper, his mother took him back for another visit 1 year later. As it turned out, his mother's fears were no exaggeration, and the medical records are damning evidence.
History of violence towards furniture.
Excessive lying to disrespectful behavior, Brandon's temper was now only part of a growing list of concerns. But for Brandon, it was just the beginning. It's May of 2013. Brandon is 11. A police officer was dispatched to the home Sheila and Brandon shared with Sheila's boyfriend, Keith Larson. According to Keith, he and Brandon were engaged in a water fight, and when Keith sprayed him with a garden hose, Brandon flew into an unexpected rage.
I mean, that's a dick move, though.
Bathroom where he proceeded to destroy items inside.
Damn.
Sheila alleged that she picked the lock, after which Brandon left the bathroom and Sheila became his target. That's when Brandon snapped. He punched and slapped Sheila in the face multiple times.
Oh my gosh.
I was this little kid doing
Right, 11-year-old.
that.
Oh, hell no. You're not grabbing a knife.
Scrambled, charged at his own mother.
Whoa.
He trapped her in the family room and wouldn't allow her to leave. It seemed like something unthinkable was about to happen. But just when she thought there was no escape, police...
I would've got my ass turned the fuck out if I ever tried some shit like that.
Somehow she stayed a small wound in her life.
Alright.
Oh, wait, this is crazy, bro. That she didn't.
The incident ended in Brandon receiving several months of probation.
And he went to.
After that incident with his mother, everything continued in the same direction.
Yeah, why would they
And
let him
every
back
year,
out, bro?
That'd have been
Brandon
dope
took
hand.
another step on that stairway to madness. He quit school in 2014 and never got beyond the 6th grade level. He stayed home, his depression ever present, and isolated from the
Got
world.
you got the 125 on there. The single 25. He's a criminal, bro.
125 doing what with that job, bro? Bro, they
He's
went-
doing the one arm trap thing. You know what I mean?
My guy's mom.
You've already learned about his
Almost got
obsession with
stabbed
My
and
Little
she
Pony,
still
but
was
while
like,
left alone,
fucking
Yeah, you gotta send him to somewhere after
and
that.
let him drop out of school.
Yeah, military school.
Right. Nah, I think that would make him worse.
Nah. Structure.
Shit.
Okay.
That's their
Oh,
problem.
that'll make him a certified killer.
Right. He's somebody else's problem now.
Now he a lethal weapon.
I'm about to say now you start learning how to hide and shit. bro.
Right.
Right. He's in the grass and shit with a
The
ghillie suit. Yeah.
Yeah, you be shook when you come back home, bro.
We got the ghillie suit.
He was like, I've been waiting 7 years.
Bro, they be like, yo, yeah, we released your son 3 years ago. They're like, what?
Right.
Where you been at, bro? Been in your bush.
He's in the bush.
Around. On the way to the end, I saw a sticker that said hashtag stop. I told me, like, there you're fine. And I was like, okay, well, if you buy a gun, there's your sign. You know, I got to take that away from you. You know what I mean? So. and
He's like 13 at this time? Why is he getting a gun? This mom, hold up. Let's take a minute.
And they couldn't just sit back and watch to see what became of it.
Why would the mom let him get a gun after all that?
My bro look like the real Slim Shady. What the fuck is going on here?
Several years prior, or something much, much worse. The following morning, they traveled to the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department and filed a case report telling of his troubled past and how he planned to point his shotgun at police, thereby ensuring his death.
For sure.
Later that same day, on March 3rd,
Done.
several officers and members of the Indianapolis
Nah, yeah, he needs to.
or MCAT responded to Sheila's
He needs rehabilitation.
entering. Brandon was placed in handcuffs, with the police report stating that Brandon had become quite anxious, and his main focus was ensuring that no one looked at his computer. What
Aw,
police found on
shit.
that computer would leave Sheila utterly shocked, with the search revealing extremist websites in his history. At this time, Brandon's gun was confiscated.
Brazzers. The extremist website, Brazzers.
Somehow, he was in and out in under 2 hours. To Sheila's utter surprise, an emergency medicine doctor determined that there was no diagnosis, and Brandon denied having any issues. What's more shocking, there's no record that indicates a formal psychological assessment was ever conducted on Brandon during this visit, despite Sheila's cries for help.
Damn, man.
You
Got a rifle. You got a.
Got some 17.
Right. Bro, that's a fucking Civil War rifle. What the
My
fuck?
role in this
You
facility
gotta
just to see if
shove
there
the
was
shit with the
all
needle and all that.
Yeah, musket shit.
Musket
which
shit.
only means that he wouldn't be able to purchase the firearm.
Good
This is in
job.
the criminal record, and it's not, you can't even see it. Like, if somebody were to search for criminal cases and stuff, these cases don't go into there because they're just civil. Once they get filed, like if I needed to check on one, I can't even do it. I have to send an email to the prosecutor's office and ask them to look because they're the only ones that can access it and stuff to see like what the status of it is.
Then, when the FBI visited with Sheila the following month, they would unknowingly add fuel to the fire.
Is this on 1.2 speed?
1.25.
1.25.
When the agent asked Brandon what he planned to do with his life, Brandon replied that perhaps he could join the FBI. In response, the agent made it clear that wouldn't be an option for him. Perhaps this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right, dick move, man. Just let him believe. He's fucking 13.
17th reason.
Right.
At the conclusion of the meeting, all the
I'm about to crash out,
the last
man.
thing Sheila or any mother would ever want to hear about their own son. Brandon had all the makings of a mass shooter. Some of the red
Damn,
flags
man.
the FBI may have recognized in Brandon were that he was a loner with feelings of rejection from society, as well as feeling like he was being treated unfairly, and his belief that he was a victim. Other red flags that Brandon showed were his symptoms of depression, homicidal thoughts, violent fantasies, and anger problems. In conjunction with the other warning signs were his traits of narcissism, and most concerning of all, his fixation on past school shootings and mass murderers. Despite the exchange with the FBI agent, Brandon, for a time, seemed to be on the up and up. He found a job in 2020, and he seemed to enjoy working at the local FedEx SmartPost facility. Maybe this was the new beginning Sheila had hoped for after all those arduous years. Maybe Brandon was finally improving. But it wasn't the case, and in fact, he was only just ascending into peak madness. In the months before he would do the
Peak
unbelievable,
madness.
Brandon was showing up for work. It seemed he couldn't bring himself to get out of bed. By October, his stint at the FedEx facility.
How old is this fucking kid?
Exactly. That's what I'm just
He's got a full-time job?
Full-time fucking
Once again,
kid.
Sheila had to fight the system in order to get her son in front of a mental health professional before he was finally assessed. Multiple pages of notes named a variety of Brandon's conditions, amongst them generalized anxiety disorder, recurrent major depressive disorder. Meanwhile, even while he was in therapy, this is an actual list of the items he was purchasing. As he was making these purchases, he attended another session with a social worker. But by now, Brandon had reached the point of no return. The following day, he attended a session with a different social worker, stating he had no empathy and no care for the lives of others, including his own flesh and blood. 2 weeks later, in what would be his final counseling session, he stated the same thing again. But what he added this time was chilling. Brandon claimed he was a danger to society, and that society should fear him.
Bruh, put him in
That's
jail!
what I'm saying, bro. You keep saying this shit to professionals. They're supposed to be able to call the cops.
They're like, let's just wait for him to fucking kill people. Like,
It started the night Brandon quietly departed home, never to return again, en route to his final destination, the FedEx SmartPost facility, sometime around 11 p.m. on April 15th, 2021. That particular evening was nothing out of the ordinary. Sheila returned home from work with dinner for Brandon and found him to be in a pleasant mood. After he ate, he took a relaxing bath, then they both
God damn, shit in the bed.
So Sheila thought. Once inside the FedEx SmartPost facility, Brandon makes his way through, savagely opening fire on everyone in his path.
What?
Through the lobby, assassinating employees at random as they attempt to run for their lives. Soon after,
Where did he do that?
Right, at his job.
Damn, dog.
Close proximity. 911 calls flood local dispatchers as Brandon continues his murderous undertaking.
Okay, so what I need you guys to do is to stay down, make sure your door's locked. Put something against that door if you can. Keep yourself safe, okay? Okay, they're all right.
In a matter of minutes, the
Damn, man, that's fucked up,
I ain't
dude.
gonna lie, I would forget to put something against the door.
That'd be terrible shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what dispatchers have to do. They have to tell you, like, the basic shit because, like, you know?
Like, that shit common sense, but like, I would definitely...
No, but if you're in, like, a traumatic-ass situation, you might forget. That's fucked up, dude.
As the casualties are mounting, dispatchers frantically assist callers as the horror continues to unfold. The first officers are arriving at the scene. Dispatchers and responding officers communicate in real time. However, in the midst of the chaos, details are not yet clear.
This nigga had a fucking assault rifle.
Yeah, I think that's the regular rifle that they showed earlier.
AK
Brandon returned to
47.
an earlier location in the FedEx facility without so much as a shred of hesitation. He then proceeded to end one more life, his own. Employees on site continue to place calls, begging and pleading for help in this surreal nightmare that has been sprung upon them without warning. As far as they are aware, the shooter is still preying on victims.
there some way you can get safe? I want you to stay safe, okay? I don't know, because I still hear gunshots.
Damn, and he killed himself too, so there's just no resolution.
Yeah, they don't even. Yeah.
I'm gonna go do my 35. There's a trailer on this one. Get under. Slide under that. Wait for you. Okay?
Damn, bro.
Panic.
What if you in them goddamn trucks?
Yeah.
Fucking trap. You're like a fucking mouse.
Control, advise Eskenazi will have multiple patients. Advise them to be ready.
We couldn't get through the church out. We just didn't get through. So we went up to the parking lot. I rushed in like after our third church, our second set of church out was sitting in the truck. And there were some entrance numbers
Jesus
where we can
Christ.
run so they know where to get to you.
How long did they have to peruse the fucking facility? Big ass facility.
At least, probably to at least the morning, you know?
Yeah, but to see all these.
Oh, every bullet, yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and like track which ones were first, and you know.
Right.
Want to stay on the line with me?
That's crazy shit.
I will not leave you then, okay? I'm gonna stay with you now. You're fine. Okay, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
After more than 30
FedEx was
minutes with
closed
dispatcher,
for weeks.
Natasha's wait is over.
Help! 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 I'm under.
Allegedly, because of the facility's policies, employees couldn't carry cell phones in certain areas. Some workers may not have been able to phone for help or contact friends and family during the shooting. The killing spree had come to an end, but the aftermath of the attack is difficult to fathom.
Damn, dude.
8 innocent, unwitting victims' lives ended abruptly. Soon, Brandon is located by officers as they confirm that he is now deceased. It was then that Brandon's disturbing motive was revealed. Brandon was heartbroken over a My Little Pony character. In his final Facebook post on April 15, 2021, he wrote,
Yeah, look, he's got a fucking M19.
My life has no meaning without her. If there's no afterlife and she isn't real, then
What?
my life never mattered anyway.
But I kind of just need to talk to you about what happened that day and how you're feeling about whether you want it back or if you.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't want that at all. It's fine.
What would be your goal for us to do with it? With it?
Just destroy it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about getting my life back on track. I don't have any mental health issues that I'm aware of. I don't think I do. And I wouldn't say depressed, but my feelings to the reason why I got the gun is because I wanted to show my best friends who's really been hunting and stuff. Maybe they were also like the fun of shooting it.
I mean, if you're getting it back on track, I don't know what it's off track of it unless it's just that you didn't get your high school diploma.
Off track. It's bad. I mean, do you think this like not doing anything with your life is on track? I mean, I don't think
Well,
so.
I also think that could make me sad and depressed if I felt like a failure or whatever, but apparently that's not what you're feeling, so.
I just had for you.
They're just so passive aggressive. Like, yeah, like,
Like the
well, I guess your life is not on track. Like, shut up. Like, clearly this kid needs something. Like,
why is he calling you right now? For fucking sex?
well, I guess. I guess your life's not on track then, okay, buddy?
Smart ass. I kill myself too.
Bro, it's the worst.
Yo.
For 74 years, and included Matthew Alexander, Samaria Blackwell, Emergene Johal, Jostander Tower,
Damn,
Joe
man.
Singh, Emergene Second, Carly Smith, and John Weissert.
Children.
Brandon's mother wants her son to know that when she cries these days, it's not for him, it's for the victims. If she could comprehend
I don't know. I feel like she kind of contributed to this somehow.
She did. I mean, I can't even. She did everything she could, bro. They just fucked it. She was begging him to help her.
Yeah, she was.
She was begging him to help her. They wouldn't even do tests on my boy. Make Chuck Dojons. They didn't let my guy stab his mom. It was like, yeah, you're cool with that.
I don't think he stabbed his mom. I think he
Almost
attempted
stabbed
to.
it. Crazy.
Yeah,
All right,
that's-
let's do one more short one.
That's wild.
Insane work.
Oh, damn, 4 people came in here.
Hey,
I didn't even notice.
What's good, guy?
Well, they're gone already, I think.
they popped in and popped out.
They probably came in at like the worst part. We were all quiet.
We're all quiet and shit.
All right, we need to lighten the mood a little bit with something light. What you guys got anything in mind?
Mr. B shit, I don't know.
Mr. Beast, you wanna put Mr. Beast?
The richest man on YouTube.
What type of shit you want to watch? You want to watch some?
We could do
Go
top
down.
3 weirdest Kill Tony.
Scroll down. Y'all seen the shit?
This guy's
about
dope. You ever seen this guy?
The Diddy case.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Y'all
one
seen
actually.
shit about the
Diddy
Diddy case?
case.
Brad Pitt came out
Update.
and said he like, he was like violated and shit.
By Diddy?
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Wow.
That's crazy.
All right.
But like nothing sexual happened.
Yeah.
But like, they took naked showers together and shit.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I'm like, yeah. Like,
So what are we watching? Which one?
Silent fucking.
Every
Dennis.
celebrity? No, that's too long. That's 40
He's like, you're
minutes.
never gonna leave here clean again.
What the
That's
fuck?
disgusting. Yeah, that's fucking insane. I'm like, fuck is you talking about,
Yeah, that's
dickhead?
insane.
That would have been me.
Right, you gotta throw hands. You gotta throw hands with him
What
at that
are you
point.
talking about?
What?
Yeah, I'm not
The fuck did you just say to me?
I'm gonna have to kill you.
Nah.
Nah, absolutely
I'm
not.
gonna have to kill you, my boy.
You put your hand on his shoulder. I'm gonna have to kill you, my boy.
Yo, did he just look at you the wrong
Did
way?
he
though?
updates?
You'd be intimidated. He got that aura.
Yeah, he does have that crazy
He has
looking
that
eye.
Crazy aura. You feel me?
Diddy on trial 9 bombshell moments that could. Should we put this one?
Sure. Yeah, put it on the Brad Pitt shit.
Oh, the Brad Pitt one. Diddy, Brad Pitt update. Diddy trial. No, this one, right? Hey, yo, what is that?
That's the one, actually.
Yo, look at the thumbnail.
Insane, bro.
I think that's the one.
1 minute ago, Brad Pitt testifies in court on day 14. So yeah, that was today.
Yeah, that was early.
Before we begin, viewer discretion.
I hope this is real. Wait, hold up.
Fast
Hold up.
forward it. Fast forward it.
Hold up. I just want to make sure because I know there's a lot of like AI shit around it too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
The following
Fast forward.
is for educational and
Oh, speed it up.
entertainment purposes only. This is the official courtroom testimony from day 14 of the federal trial Sean Diddy Combs, as reported by ABC.
Sean Diddy
No one
Combs.
was prepared for what happened next. As the judge called it,
Tell it up.
disbelief swept through the room. All eyes turned toward the back as a tall, familiar figure stepped forward.
See, it sounds fake. You know what I mean? Like it's too like.
It was Brad Pitt, one of the most recognizable actors in the world. A Hollywood
Some
icon.
AI shit.
A man
Yeah.
who spent decades keeping his private life shrouded in mystery.
It might be.
Now
Fuck.
walking into
I
court,
don't know.
unquote,
Could easily.
ready to reveal something he had
knows?
hidden for years.
Who knows what's
When
going
he testified,
Oh, while it plays, I'm gonna look at the
Look, yeah,
comments.
exactly. And see if like
Wait.
you know there's other shit. on there.
This content is fictional and intended. Yeah, this is fake.
Brad
Oh,
says he
okay,
was
cool,
pulled into
cool,
it
cool.
after
Man,
I thought it was.
No,
some
it might be
shit,
real, though. It
bro.
might be real. It
I
might
was
be real.
I was like, yeah, that's insane.
Diddy, day 14. Diddy in court, day 14. Okay, let's see. This one's 17 minutes, so we can.
you for more, and your
So it's fictional.
This is TMZ, so I guess whatever that counts for. God damn. Look at these fucking assholes.
Day 14 of the Diddy trial, the prosecution's star witness for the last couple of days has been Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, who was tasked by Diddy, among other things, with managing Cassie's image, her brand. Her testimony, Derek, I think the through line in her testimony is that this is a man who was willing to threaten people who he didn't like.
This might get copyright striked.
Said that he was going to go kill Cuddy at one point, and number two,
It's because it's TMZ.
people were for him, threatened to kill Capricorn Clark. They found out that she had been stealing jewelry from him, I guess it was.
This nigga talk fast already. Slow it down a little bit.
What did her testimony say?
Yeah, I mean, Capricorn Clark has been a fascinating witness because we've heard from previous assistants and we've heard from a couple who have said, you know, I procured drugs for Diddy, I set up hotel rooms, and I would book hotel rooms, I would get, you know, the baby oil ready for the three-offs and so forth. So we've had a lot of testimony about that. Capricorn Clark is different because she was very close to the operation and she was also close to Cassie at periods of time. And she is sort of a link between the organization, Bad Boy, and Diddy's enterprises, and all of the misdeeds that he's alleged to have done. The Kid Cudi episode comes up again because Kid Cudi, has testified that he thinks Diddy firebombed his car, he was disoriented, was called back.
He
to
said
the
he
house,
thinks.
where
Right.
Mark actually alerted him to the fact that Diddy was out at the moment. She goes more into that episode, says that, you know, when Cassie first started dating Cudi, she helped her along. She would stay with her. She said, look, if you're going to start dating this guy, you need a burner phone. You can't do this on Bad Boy's phones. She sort of helped Cassie sort of navigate what must have been a very sort of scary and fraught relationship with Kid Cudi. She said that on the more, with Cudi.
Once she started dating,
Once she started dating Cudi, it was a very
she had to help her navigate that so that Diddy didn't find out. So they were conspiring to let her have a relationship with Cudi without Diddy finding out.
Right, through burner phones and so forth. She says that Clark testified that early in the morning of December 22nd.
Damn, they were tapping phones and shit. That's
and
crazy,
banging
bro.
on her front door. She said,
They're really the
"He
fucking
opened it up,
feds."
And he said, why didn't you tell me? Who is employee? Capricorn Clark. Who is Scott? Now, Scott is Kid Cudi's real name, Scott Miscudi. And he's the guy who was on the stand.
Miscudi?
And he says at that point, Diddy said, we're
Come
going
on,
to
son.
kill this guy. With a weapon in hand, and that's when all these confrontations started taking place that Cudi has already testified about.
And
He
did
went
they-
into the home, the firebombing of the car.
So after, he goes to her house, says we're gonna kill this guy, and it's after that all this other stuff started happening.
Right, so they go to the house. Remember, there wasn't a confrontation that night because Kid Cudi called the police.
Yeah.
So Diddy left the house, according to the testimony. He left before he could have that physical confrontation. And then Capricorn Clark was ordered, according to her testimony, by Diddy to make sure this guy didn't talk, to make sure this guy didn't sort of give up Diddy and say he was behind these break-ins and all of this violence. So she is the linchpin of the government's case because Kid Cudi's testimony is now being challenged as, rank speculation, prejudicial to the jury. Who knows who firebombed the car? There's no physical evidence. He just thinks that he, sort of firebombed his car, and they want to prevent the jurors from connecting those dots through Kid Cudi. Well, now they've got a precipient witness.
So we talked so much over the last week about, do these various acts of criminality amount to a RICO case? Here you have, we always said, like, it doesn't really look and smell like what you'd expect from a RICO case, the sort of mob involvement. This looks, smells, tastes, quacks like a RICO case.
It really does. And in the beginning of her testimony, she said she was interviewed by Diddy, and they took a walk in Central Park. And Capricorn Clark has had a sort of past working in the industry. She had worked with Suge Knight at Death Row Records. And she says when she brought this up to Diddy, he said to her, well, we'll see what happens with that. I may need to kill you. That was his response. Now, on the stand, they asked her, did you take this seriously, or was it sort of a casual, joking comment? She said she took it very, very seriously. As a matter of fact, we here at TMZ then talked to Suge Knight, who learned of these threats from Capricorn after she left Diddy's employment. And he says, yeah, I know Capricorn. She was scared for her life. Diddy is a man known for violence.
This is a job interview when they went through walking the car. I interviewed you for this job, and I made that statement to you. You would have been like, I think I'll go elsewhere.
And she said, go to a polygraph test, which is another thing she testified to. She says the trust was so sort of fractured in their relationship that at one point Diddy accused her of stealing some jewelry from him, had two goons take her to a dilapidated house, hook her up to a polygraph machine. She was nervous and said, what happens if this goes wrong? And the lines start jumping, and they said you might end up in the East River. So now we're at a point where this sounds actually like a mafia enterprise where there are explicit threats to people's harms of throwing them in rivers. This is how the mafia operates.
Again, just to break down her testimony, you've got Diddy as the head of this thing. He like we called the king. He was called the king. He then would order his goons to do things like give people polygraph tests, and it's hard to know how ingest.
That's why you can't just give anybody money, you know what I mean?
Go upstairs. We're going to do a polygraph test.
No, he didn't say go upstairs. He had two goons kidnap her
Bitch, let's go.
and took her to a dilapidated house. Not just a house, a dilapidated house.
My shit would be cooked because the polygraph test is based off like you being nervous and shit. Like
Yeah, man, that shit automatic.
Just be nervous as shit.
That's crazy.
And it's not even like they're professional polygraph
That's what I'm
readers.
saying. Seriously, I know why.
That's your
Yeah, you're gonna have to come out.
Like, damn, cuz.
Great acts of violence over the years.
Because I'm gonna say, that way you can find a housekeeper who know how to read a polygraph.
With, like you said, goons, basically employees, and hook up to a lie detector test. If she fails, it's not going to be like we're going to terminate your employment, or they would have done that at Bad Boys offices.
That's right.
This had to be, there was a reason they were taking her out to a warehouse in the middle of nowhere.
Now, you bring up her termination. Eventually, she was terminated. And so, on cross-examination, Mark Agnifilo had a field day with her because they're going to try to frame Capricorn Clark, whose testimony was absolutely devastating, if you believe it, as a jilted ex-employee who has an axe to grind with Diddy. The other approach they took was, look, she has issues with Cassie. At some point, she was helping her career along, but there was some professional jealousy. She testified on cross that that Cassie was the bad boy artist who was most coddled to, basically, that they were trying to launch the most between a certain period of time, and that while she's beautiful and has some talent, she said she's not really talented.
She has talent, but not talented.
She said, I think of talented musicians as Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. This is a girl who could sing in the studio, but they put so much money in investment behind her. It sounded like there was some professional jealousy. Why is she getting all the attention?
In addition to the professional jealousy,
I mean, she's got some good hits, though.
A little more bravado.
Definitely bangers.
She went from being more of a sweet model to a feisty girlfriend. She testified that when Cassie's live performances weren't great, she returned to work in 2016. Clark said that her drug use was preventing her from the opportunities that were before us. So basically, she's talking about a girl in Cassie who was getting all of the perks from dating Diddy, not as talented as the other people that maybe could have gotten more attention.
You can imagine
being a little bit bitchy, it sounds like.
And this happens in office settings. I don't know that this is entirely unfounded because you can imagine the boss hiring a hot secretary.
Well, he's sleeping with hot secretary too.
That's right.
In this case, yeah.
And letting them get away with things that were not really holding them to the same standards as you hold other employees, and that resentment brewing amongst the rest of the workforce. Capricorn sounds like he was on that side.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I said
it doesn't mean it's fine, but it is worth telling the jury.
I didn't mean to diminish it. They had a really long-term relationship, she and Diddy. So the music industry and the movie industry, the only things sort of give rise to this, right? Where there's a boss and there's an employee, and they're openly sleeping together, and the boss is openly trying to get the employee jobs,
right?
And to the detriment of the other employees who maybe want to have that level of fame.
Exactly.
And then Cassie, according to Capricorn Clark, starts to get a little bit too big for her britches, and being like, I'm his girlfriend, I'm not just someone talented you can tell what to do.
Right. And here's what's interesting: the sort of trial within the trial of what's going on. Remember, they had to have a little bit of kid gloves when you're dealing with Cassie on the stand. She's a pregnant woman. She's a survivor of domestic violence, basically by Diddy's admission that he was jealous. And of course the elevator video with a witness like Capricorn.
Damn, she's pregnant.
Had worked for Suge. He's a little more sort of she didn't.
That's probably so stressful.
Diddy's employees said she was pregnant, but she also had a nasty termination from there. They could really take the gloves off, and from what it looks like, Agnifilo did a good job on cross-examination of at least raising the specter of her having a bias against Diddy. And I think that was effective as far as it goes. On the side of the prosecution, I think she was extremely effective in connecting dots from Kid Cudi's testimony, which at its core is a guy who says, yeah, my car was firebombed, but I don't know who did it. I think Diddy's a liar when he says he didn't do it, but he doesn't really have a basis for concretely linking Diddy. You now have that witness. You can choose a non-believer.
Did you see the thing where they were like, and what did you think when you saw your car on fire? He was like, what the fuck?
You don't know how things will end with the jury, to your point. But from what we've seen objectively looking at this, the testimony against Diddy has been
See
they have
that?
not put on their case. The prosecutors actually said that instead of going to 6 weeks, they estimated their case in chief is going to go 5
I
weeks.
got you.
Diddy will then have the opportunity to call his witnesses, and his witnesses are going to paint a very different picture of everything we've heard so far. So there's still plenty of opportunity for him to claw back into this game, but for right now, it really seems like they are doing a terrific job about painting him to be a true monster.
And to be fair, a lot of trials go like this. O.J. Simpson's trial, he looked as guilty as a person could look, and then things start to fall apart. Mark Thurman,
Almost as guilty as a person could look at the end.
that's true. Yeah, he still looks quite guilty, but defense seems to be very effective, and they can.
Yes.
And I think he's got a good one. I think this is a dream team of sorts for Diddy, so we'll see what their case in chief looks like when they're able to present it.
Yeah, let's go to take some questions. Enhanced Creator says, will any more celebrities testify? I don't think so, not at least that we're aware of. It could be the defense calls them. They're not projected as of right now for the prosecution to call them. They've announced their next few witnesses. One of the big pieces of testimony coming is a woman named Mia, who was also a former employee who said that who was going to testify that she was personally victimized quite harshly by Diddy. I'm interested to see that at some point you get just sort of this weight of testimony by woman after woman after woman about how they were treated within that organization, and it becomes even worse for him.
I think Cuddy's going to be the biggest celebrity. This initially the thought was this is going to be about the white parties and things like that Diddy used to throw. I think it's much more about freak-offs that happen behind closed doors and not in these
Freak-offs.
At least with the prosecutor.
Yeah, this is good for you. If the evidence, high-grade TV, if the evidence about firebombing was concrete, should he not have gotten arrested years ago for that?
I mean, yes. the answer is yes. I mean, that is an independent crime. That would have been a state crime of arson or firebombing.
Attempted murder, potentially.
Would have been a very serious offense. It sounds like it lines up with Capricorn's testimony that everyone kept quiet about. Kid Cudi never sort of directly linked Diddy at the time. Capricorn Clark, Cassie, none of the people who could have said Diddy is responsible for that firebombing came forward. The statute of limitations is probably run on that offense at this point in time, and now he's just facing it indirectly through this RICO charge.
I remember back last week. You're closer to the case than I am. Did Cudi and Diddy? They eventually talked about this, right? And buried the hatchet.
They did, sort of. He said, according to Cudi, Diddy said he was sorry about everything that transpired with him, not sort of directly about any particular instances. And he said Diddy seemed like a superhero villain, kind of like a Marvel villain. And when he said, "I don't know what happened with your car," Cudi testified, "I think he was lying to me."
Yes, but at that point, right? Cudi filed a police report saying his car had been firebombed. The police looked into it, but who's going to tie that back to Diddy? It's even hard to do it now. Diddy's got some sort of plausible deniability. Sure. It wasn't presumably him. You need other people to testify against him. Nobody's inner orbit at that point is going to testify against him. It really took the beating video of Cassie to get people to come forward and turn state's evidence. That's where we are right now.
I can't find it.
One last one, Chrissy Lee. I heard some YouTubers saying today the jury loves him. Don't pay attention to what you see on YouTube from people who purport to have heard things from different people.
It says that scares me for the victims. I have seen some reports of body language, sort of Diddy's mother blowing him kisses in the courtroom and things of that nature. How do you think that stuff
I think offends the jury.
Me too.
Yeah.
I find it so cynical to think you can have your doting mother there who thinks her son could do no wrong and blow kisses against this monstrous testimony. I just think it will backfire. It seems overly, transparently cynical and offensive.
Look at this shit.
When you do stuff like that, to me.
And on that, we're out. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, that's nuts, bro.
Yeah, he's a fucking criminal.
He's cooked.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Did you see that Donald Trump said he was going to pardon him?
He said he did. He said he wouldn't take it out of his considerations not to. So that's wild.
Let's see something
So,
like that.
He said he wouldn't not consider it.
right type shit.
So that's
Living with opioid addiction can be a struggle. Supplicate.
All right.
nasty guy.
Continue with that nonsense. They're wasting a lot of money if they're going to continue with that nonsense.
And this one is a little more of a basic question, but back when you listened to The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
That's right.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter. Nobody's asked, but I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot. I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
He could have just said, "Fuck no." He said, I didn't even understand not a damn word that motherfucker just said. He said, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Probably he might have. See, the thing, Diddy might have something on him. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I'll probably get him out of there.
Yeah, I might fuck with him.
Anyway, I guess we're done here. You guys want to log out?
Yeah, we wrapped up, bro.
All right, fuck it.